Chapter 7, The Seraphim. Sandy slept at night as usual on Admiral's cloak. He wondered if Admiral knew about the coming flood and the destruction of almost all life on Earth. His arms tightened about Higayon, with whom he slept much as, when he was a small boy, he had slept with his arms around a small brown plush triceratops. His fingers moved through Higayon's shaggy hair, stroked a great fan of an ear, felt something hard, the scarab beetle. It gave him a feeling of comfort, although he found it difficult to associate the bronze beetle with the great seraph. Well, thinking about this could wait till morning. Dennys was the thinker, Sandy the doer. The gentle tip of Higayon's trunk stroked the back of Sandy's neck, and he relaxed into sleep. Admiral came in the morning in the seraphic form. Sandy said, "I've been thinking." After all, not only Dennys could think. Admiral smiled. "Sometimes that is a good idea, sometimes not. Dennys and I are in the middle of the story of knowing the flood, aren't we?" Admiral's azure eyes regarded him. "So it would seem." "How are we going to get home?" Admiral shrugged his golden wings. The way you arrived, perhaps?" "Somehow, I don't think that's going to be possible. In the meanwhile, Dennys is in one of Noah's tents halfway across the oasis." "That is true, but he is nearly ready to come to you." "It's a long way. Is he strong enough to walk it?" "Possibly. I was thinking maybe you could call Unicorn for him." "Certainly. That is a possibility. But then I thought," Sandy's forehead wrinkled anxiously, "when we were riding the Unicorn to the oasis, he went out with the Unicorn." "But that is no problem," Admiral reassured him. "If we should call Unicorn to bring him from Noah's tent to Lamech's, and if for some reason they were both to go out, then we would recall the Unicorn to Grandfather Lamech's tent, and Dennys would be here too." Sandy asked curiously, "If Dennys fell off the Unicorn right away, and if the Unicorn went out of being with him, could you call him to Grandfather Lamech's tent faster than it would take them in, sort of, the ordinary way?" "Oh, certainly. Fear not." "Wow. Wait till I tell her father. That's what he's working on, traveling without the restrictions of time. Tessering." Admiral nodded. "That is indeed one way of thinking about it. Your father is on the right track." Sandy wrinkled his brow in concentration. "Okay then, if Dennys and the Unicorn went out, and then you called them back into being, and they appeared here, that would be a quantum leap, wouldn't it?" "Tell me what you mean." Admiral's azure eyes probed Sandy. "Well, it's like, in particle physics. Well, you can measure a quantum where it is, but not on its journey from there to here. At least, you can't measure a quantum in both its speed and its place in space, not at the same time. A quantum can be measured where it is, and then it can be measured where it's got to. So," he paused for breath. "So?" Admiral asked, smiling. "Oh, I wish Dennys was here. He could explain it better than I can. But when you call Unicorn into being, you can see it, maybe measure it, but you can't measure it when it's gone out. Not until you call it back into being. So maybe that's what space and time travel is going to have to be like, a quantum leap, what my father would call a tesseract." You are an intelligent young man," Admiral said. "This is not easy to understand." Sandy realized that he had closed his eyes, almost stopped breathing, in order better to concentrate. He opened his eyes, took in a deep gulp of air. "Can you do it?" "Do what?" Take a quantum leap." Admiral smiled again. "When I am in the scarab beetle, as I have told you, I am limited by what limits the beetle. When I am in my seraphic form, I have fewer limits." "Can you get off this planet if you want to?" Sandy asked. "I mean, can you travel to other solar systems or other galaxies?" "Oh, certainly. We are here because there is need. Our brothers, the Nephilim, cannot leave this planet. They have lost some of their freedoms." "Why?" Sandy asked. But Admiral was examining Sandy's healed skin. "You are beginning to get a nice protective tan. When When your twin comes, each of you must spend a little time and then a little more in the sun until your skin can bear the rays without burning. You must always remember to stay in the tent during the noon hours. Even in the shade, you can burn from the sun's reflection. I've been sunburned before, Sandy said. Once when our scout troop went to the beach for the day, and we all got burned, but it was nothing like this. I think you come from a more northerly part of the planet, Admiral said, and this sun is younger than it is in your time. And not so much pollution now between Earth and Sun. Does anybody here ever have allergies? Admiral smiled. Allergies do not come until later. Hey, Sandy said. Grandfather Lamech's granddaughter, Yalif, the one with hair the color of you, when you're in the scarab beetle, why does she never come back with the nightlight? Why is it always somebody else? Yalif has been busy taking care of your brother. For a moment, Sandy was washed over with a sick wave of jealousy. He shook himself. If he and Dennys were not interested in mythical beasts, neither were they interested in girls. They went to the regional school dances, but usually stuck with the other members of the hockey and basketball teams. There was going to be plenty of time for girls later, sometime after they had their driver's licenses and weren't dependent on parents to drive them, sometime when they met girls who were not silly and giggly and showing off. But Yalif was not silly or giggly, and she did not show off, and she was not at all like any of the girls at school. Even though he had been dizzy with fever the first night in Grandfather Lamech's tent, his memory of Yalif was as vivid as though she had come with a stone lamp the night before. Her bronze hair had held sunlight even in the dark shadows of the tent. Her body was tiny and perfect. Her eyes, like her hair, held sunlight. Trying to keep his voice level and not succeeding, for a crack immediately, he said, Well, I wish Yalif would bring the nightlight tonight. Admiral looked at him, and Sandy blushed. He understood why he was feeling the way he was feeling, and at the same time he did not at all understand the way he was feeling, and this conflicting mixture of emotion confused him. His cheeks were as hot as they had been from fever and sunburn. He wondered how much Admiral saw, but the Seraph looked at him calmly. Now I have business elsewhere. You worked very hard in the garden this morning during the dawn hours. Good work. You may stay out for 15 more minutes. I will send my griffin friend to tell you when it is time to go inside. What's a griffin? Yes, I forget again, Admiral said. A griffin is a mythical beast. Not like the manticore, I hope. Sandy was not likely to forget the manticore. Griffins have a larger vocabulary than the manticore. Some of them can be fierce, but my friend is as gentle as a lamb. What does he look like? She is half lion, half eagle. Which half is which? Sandy's mind for the moment was off Yalif. Her front half is that of an eagle. Her rear half is that of a lion. She can fly like an eagle, and she has the strength of a lion. Admiral turned and strode through Grandfather Lamech's grove of royal palms, date palms, coconut palms, scrub palms, all of which blocked the hot wind and provided such a thick shade that Sandy felt comfortably cool. He lay back and looked at the vast expanse of sky, then quickly shut his eyes against the glare. At home, the summer sky was blue, and the blue was made brighter by the white cumulus clouds. Except for an occasional gray day, the sky was constantly in motion, protected by the encircling hills. Here the sky stretched naked from horizon to horizon, licked by volcanic flames burning in the sun. A shadow deeper than the shadow of the trees fell across his face. He opened his eyes, expecting to see the griffin. Instead, a young woman was looking down at him. He caught his breath. She was the most spectacularly beautiful girl he had ever seen. Tiny, like all the people of the oasis. She wore white goat skin which covered one shoulder. Her hair was a sunburst of red. Her eyes were almond-shaped and as green as the spring grass at home. Her body was perfect, her skin the color of a peach. Hello, she said, looking at him with a radiant smile. I'm really glad to see you again. Sandy looked at her in astonishment. You haven't forgotten me, have you? I'm really sorry for what happened when my father and brother... I don't know what you're talking about. Sandy could not keep his eyes off her. About when you suddenly appeared in our tent and my father and brother... Again her words trailed off as though she didn't want to finish the sentence. I've never been in your tent. Sandy was confused. I've only been out of... Grandfather Lamec's tent to work in the garden. Oh, maybe you mean my brother. She opened her eyes wide. Her lashes were long and dark and beautiful. Your brother? My twin brother, Sandy said. We do look very much alike. You haven't been seeing one of Noah's tents? No, that's my brother Dennis. Oh, who are you then? I'm Sandy. Well then, Sandy, I'm very happy to meet you, and I'm glad you're being nicely cared for. What's your name? Sandy asked. I'm Tigla. I'm, Anna's sister. Anna? Ham's wife. Noah's daughter-in-law. And I'm, Mala's friend. Do you know Mala? No. Mala is Noah's daughter, the next to the youngest. Yalef is the youngest. Mala is the beauty of that family. We've been giving Yalef and a whole Obama salves to help heal your brother. Oh dear, this is confusing. I mean, I was really startled to find you here instead of at Noah's, and then you aren't you at all. I mean, you're not the one who appeared at my father's tent that night and who... Giants who look alike and have no wings. Sandy sighed. In our time and place, we're not anywhere near as tall as giants. We're just tall, and we probably haven't even finished growing. You aren't as white as skin as the Nephilim, and you don't have wings, but you're as tall as they are, and as handsome in a different sort of way. She reached out and stroked his face. Then she bent closer, and he was half fascinated, half repelled by the strong odor of perspiration mingled with heavy perfume. She had rubbed something red onto her lips and over her cheekbones. It looked like the juice of some kind of berry. She bent closer and brushed her lips against his. Hey, Sandy protested. You're sweet, you know, she said. You're really sweet. You're young, aren't you? Sandy said stiffly, We're adolescents. What's that? Teenagers? She shook her head. The Nephilim don't have any age at all. They just are, but they've been around. There isn't anything they don't know. Sandy sighed. Well, I'm not like the Nephilim. Her lips touched his again, warm and fruit-smelling. A bird's scream cut across the sky. Above them was the shadow of two dark flapping wings, then a thud and the flailing of a long ropey tail as the griffin landed. Out of the beak came a negative squawk which was quite evidently, no, 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 and another squawk which sounded very like Tigla. Tigla leaned against the trunk of a tall palm, stretching her arm up to reveal her figure to perfection. Go away, Griffin. I like this young giant, and I think he likes me. The Griffin cried an eagle cry and pushed herself between Tigla and Sandy. Her beak opened. Go, go, go. No, 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 Tigla mimicked. He's just fine right here with me to tend him. The other one that looks like him has Yalef and all those other women hovering over him. It's only fair that he should have some female care, too, isn't it, Sandy? Before he could answer, the Griffin had gently but firmly pushed Tigla toward the path. You better not hurt me, she shouted indignantly. Rofakel is my friend. From the Griffin's beak came a sound very much like a mosquito shrilling. Tigla kicked at it, hitting just where eagle and lion joined. Her toenails were long and sharp. The lion's tail flicked back and forth in irritation. Then the Griffin pushed at Sandy, urging him toward the tent. I don't want to go in yet. Sandy looked at Tigla's smiling green eyes. Tigla's voice was cajoling. Wouldn't you like to come with me to one of the bathhouses? Bathhouses with water? Sandy asked eagerly. Dirt from the garden was deep in his nails, and he could not clean it all off with sand. Water? Whatever for? She asked. To bathe in? Goodness, no! She sounded shocked. What an unhealthy idea! We bathe by being rubbed with oil, and we have lovely perfumes that cover all the bad smells. She giggled. Whoever Whoever heard of bathing with water? Sandy felt himself being propelled toward the tent by the griffin. He was not sure how he felt about bathhouses with no water and where perfume covered the bad smells any more than he was sure about Tigla. There was nobody remotely like her in school or in the village. She gave him a pleasurable, prickly feeling, and, as she had pointed out, Dennys was being tended by Yalith. The griffin pushed him into the tent. Grandfather L'Engle was waiting for him with a bowl of soup. He looked smaller than ever and incredibly anxious. His hand, holding the bowl, shook slightly. Sandy looked at him anxiously. He said, "Sandy, dear, you're late." "Sorry, Grandfather L'Engle, I was talking to a girl." Grandfather L'Engle asked suspiciously, "What girl?" "Her name is Tigla, and she's the sister of one of Noah's daughters-in-law." "I'm not a sister," the old man said. "Be careful, Sand." "She's beautiful," Sandy said. "I mean, she is absolutely gorgeous." "That may be," Grandfather L'Engle said, "but it is not enough." Sandy thought the subject had better be changed. "I'm thirsty. The soup was great, Grandfather, but is there anything cool to drink? Water?" The old man shook his head. "I can give you some fruit juice. Water is too precious to waste it in drinking. You do not have wells where you come from?" "Sure we do," Sandy said. "There isn't any town water where we live, and we have an artesian well." "And your water just keeps on coming?" "Well, in the autumn, when it hasn't rained for a while, we aren't allowed to take long showers, and our parents warn us not to flush the toilet every time we use it." "The what?" "Sorry," Sandy apologized. "I keep forgetting." Grandfather L'Engle was tired about his body's needs than many of the people on the pathways near his compound. Sandy had been requested courteously to go to a small grove which drained onto the desert whenever he needed. But many people used no special place at all. When Sandy had wandered away from Grandfather L'Engle and onto the public path, he had seen that the streets were full of human dung as well as camel dung, goat dung, cow dung. Perhaps the fierceness of the sun burned away things that would cause disease. He'd have to ask Dennys. Dennys knew more about sanitation and viruses and germs than Sandy did, although if he went into environmental law when he grew up, he'd have to learn about such things. Grandfather L'Engle gave him a bowl of still unfermented grape juice, and Sandy drank it thirstily. He sniffed at the pot sitting in the banked embers of the fire. Grandfather L'Engle cooked in the cool of the night, then set the pot in the ashes, where it kept comfortably warm. "Smells good, Grandfather L'Engle." "What is it?" "Pottage," the old man said. "What's that?" "Lentils, onions, and rice, well seasoned." "Hey, I'm going to have to tell my mother how to make that when I get home." A brief wave of homesickness enveloped him as his mind's eye saw the lab and a casserole of pottage cooking over the Bunsen burner. Higgaion, too, sniffed. He had his own bowl, and he ate the same food as Sandy and the old man. Grandfather L'Engle seemed daily more tottery. If Dennys came to the tent, would it be too much for him? But now that Noah and L'Engle were reconciled, Noah not only came to L'Engue's tent to talk, he brought great kettles of food, skins of wine, bunches of grapes. And the two men laughed and cried, and Noah hugged his father. "Oh, my father, you must live forever!" And L'Engle did not answer. In the end, Dennys was to cross the oasis on a camel, a white camel with a long, supercilious nose, sneering rubbery lips, and extraordinary gentian eyes shaded by long lashes. Noah had cut his foot on a sharp stone, and matron forbade him to accompany Dennys. "Now that you and your father are reconciled, do you want to spoil everything with an infected foot? It is healing well, but the public paths are full of filth. You are not to leave the tent until it is healed." "Women," Noah grunted, but he obeyed matron. "Our den will be all right," she reassured him. If he is in the care of the Seraphim, he will reach Grandfather L'Engle safely. Alarid, the seraph whose host was the pelican and who brought water to the tent for Dennys, Alarid, who had warned him not to change anything, came with another seraph. This one had wings of pale blue and eyes like moonstones, a deeper, brighter blue. "So," Alarid said to Dennys, not quite accusingly, you have already made changes. But I haven't, Dennys expostulated. You persuaded Noah to go to his father when he would listen to no one else. I didn't really say all that much, Dennys said. I sort of just listened to the stars, so I wasn't really the one. I am not here to accuse you, Alarid said. We are full of joy that Lamech and Noah are speaking again, and it may well be that it was necessary for your brother to prepare the old man for reconciliation. He indicated the other seraph who had been standing quietly listening. This is Admal. The seraph did not extend his hand. Seraphim evidently did not shake hands. Admal bowed, and Dennys returned the bow. Together, the two seraphim carefully examined Dennys. Yeleth and Oholabama have taken excellent care of you, Alarid said. Admal nodded in quiet approval. They've been marvelous, Dennys agreed. I think I'd be dead if they hadn't. The scabs were long gone from his skin. He could run across the desert without tiring. He knew that it was time. He looked at Alarid. And you too. Thank you. He bowed to the seraph. Admal will carry you to Grandfather Lamech's tent, Alarid said. Admal's moonstone eyes beamed toward Dennys. I will wait outside. With a grave look, the seraph left. I should thank everybody. Dennys hesitated. He was eager to be with Sandy again, yes, and yet he was not at all eager to leave Yaleth. And, of course, Oholabama and Japheth. If he went to Grandfather Lamech's tent, would he ever see Yaleth again? Would her delicate fingers slide confidingly into his hand the way they did when she took him out at night to listen to the stars, or when they danced under the desert sky? Fear not, Alarid said. I have thanked them for you, all of them, Noah and Matred, Shem and Elisheba, Ham and Anah, Japheth and Oholabama, and oh yes, Yeleth too. In any event, you will be seeing them frequently. Now that Grandfather Lamech and Noah are reconciled, there will be much coming and going between the two tents. Are you ready? Ready. He would see Yeleth again. Surely she would come to Grandfather Lamech's tent to visit him. Surely he would feel the touch of her delicate fingers. He followed Alarid out of the tent. Night had fallen, and the sky was crusted with stars. He was getting used to the pattern of early rising, the long afternoon nap, and going late to sleep when the fiery sands had cooled down and the very air had lost its burning quality. He looked for Admal, but there was no seraph. Instead, a white camel stood in the dim shadow of the tent. Noah was waiting for him, standing by the camel, leaning on a stick, his foot bound in a clean skin. This is not goodbye, my son. We are all eager to see you in the sand together. Then maybe we will believe that you really are too. The seraphim has looked at my foot and says that I will be able to walk on it safely in a couple of days. He held out his hand, palm up. Put your foot there, and I will help you up onto the camel's back. Even for a young giant like you, a camel's back is a long way up. The camel had no real saddle, but heavy skins were spread on its back. Dennys was not at all sure how easy it was going to be for him to stay seated. There was nothing for him to hold on to, no reins, no pommel. But Admal, in his camel form, seemed to be a real flesh and blood camel, not nebulous like the virtual unicorns. He did not think the camel would lose his tendency to life. Matred came hurrying out of the tent, carrying a bundle, tears streaming down her cheeks. Here are your clothes. Perhaps sometime you will need them. Goodbye, our dear twin. We will miss you. And suddenly he was surrounded by the entire family, weeping, laughing, reaching up to the camel's flank to hug Dennys's feet, which was as close to him as they could reach, even on tiptoe. Japheth had his arm around Oholabama, and Yaleth was standing with them. They blew him kisses, which he blew back, and then, without warning, the camel took off, and everybody called after them, "Goodbye, Twin Den, goodbye, and we'll see you soon." "Goodbye," he called in return, trying to wave at them without flying off. The camel turned off the oasis onto the desert as the calls faded into the distance. Dennys clutched the bundle of clothes Matron had given him, what remained of his clothes after he had thrown away the ones found in the garbage pit. He could not imagine ever needing winter clothes again. He could not imagine going farther than Lamech's tent, where he and Sandy would be reunited. He remembered reading somewhere that to ride a camel was like being on a small ship rolling in rough seas, and that seemed to him to be a very good description. He bent over and clutched the white hair on the camel's neck, trying to let his body swing with the camel's odd rhythm. A soft night breeze, only faintly gritty with sand, touched his cheeks. Above them, the desert stars gave out a cooling light. In the distance, the mountain smoked and the horizon burned red. Dennys was glad the oasis was as far away as it was from the still active volcano. The camel lurched swiftly across the desert. Dennys found that the more he leaned into the animal's syncopated rhythm, the less tendency he had to slither off. The camel was going with such speed that it would be halfway across the desert before it realized that Dennys had fallen, so he better hang on. He tried to breathe in time with a rhythmic ride. He would be incredibly sore in the morning. This was far harder on the muscles than riding a horse. He noticed a shift in pace, a quickening of rhythm. He clutched at the camel's neck, barely managing to hold on. Barely. He began to slip to one side, with the skins under him sliding with him. The white camel was racing across the desert. Suddenly, Dennys realized that the sound of camel's hooves on sand, on stone under sand, was echoed by another sound. A voice from close behind them roared, "Hungry!" And Dennys felt the breath so hot that it seared. He felt himself slipping farther and farther off the camel until he was clinging to the side, and then he realized that the camel had turned so that it was between Dennys and whatever it was that was roaring. He found himself sliding so that he was head down, peering under the camel's belly. Something was peering at him from the other side of the camel. A face, whiskers, a bulbous nose, bleary eyes, horns which curved down with sharp, wicked points. Dennys looked for the body that belonged to the face and saw, instead, a lion's body. Looked along the lion's body to where the tail should be and saw, instead, a scorpion's tail, its sting rattling. He had never seen anything like it before. He did not want to see it now. Clutching the camel's white hair, he tried to struggle up onto its back again. The camel whickered and continued to race across the desert. "Hungry!" the creature roared. Dennys felt very small, very young, very afraid. "Is it going to eat me?" The camel glanced back at Dennys, the gentian eyes enigmatic. "Hey," he protested, "aren't you going to stop it?" The huge face loomed over the camel's back. "Hungry!" it roared again. The enormous lips opened to reveal a double set of ugly, stumpy teeth, which looked as though they had been worn down from gnawing. The purplish lips opened. Dennys pulled at the camel's hair. "Hey, help!" The ugly creature's breath came closer. The bloodshot eyes were looking directly at Dennys's gray ones. He tried to stare it down. The tongue, thick but long as a snake's, flicked toward him. He drew back, shielding himself with the camel, but the man/lion/scorpion bounded over the camel's back, landing on the sand beside Dennys. "Camel!" he shouted. "Please be Admiral." He sidestepped away from the monster. Again, the camel agilely placed itself between Dennys and the creature, gave Dennys a glance. Dennys remembered that Seraphim did not like to interfere or change things. "Hey," he shouted, "if he eats me, will that change the course of things?" With a flash of lightning, almost like the unicorns, the camel stretched its whiteness up to the sky, seeming to brush against the stars to catch blue fire, and then Admiral stood beside Dennys. Go, Manticore, go quickly, and don't go to any of the tents, and don't even think of eating any of the mammoths. Do your hunting in the desert. Tears began to trickle down the Manicore's cheeks, dampening his scraggly beard. And don't try to make me feel sorry for you, Admiral paused. Though I am sorry for you. You appear to be one of nature's more peculiar efforts. The Manicore turned, head drooping, and with its lion's body, it padded across the desert, scorpion sting clacking as it went. Wow, Dennis said. That was a close call. Not really. Manticore's courage is as skimpy as his vocabulary. Admiral picked up the skins which had stirred the saddle. Let's go. Dennis looked at him questioningly. It isn't far. I've been running parallel to the oasis. Can you walk a little? Sure. He'd just as soon walk as be bounced around on the camel's back, but he asked curiously, You're not going to be a camel? Admiral had slung the skins over one shoulder. Not now. It takes considerable energy to transfer. We do not like to waste power when it is not necessary. The Manticore is basically a coward, but there may be other dangers in the night desert. It's best that we keep moving. Admiral glanced upward, and when Dennis looked skyward, he saw the dark wings of a vulture blotting out the stars in swift circles. The circle of the Nephilim was dark against the desert, a dark shot with flames brighter than those from the mountain as they flickered in and out of their animal hosts in a show of power. They spoke from their Nephil forms in bursts of primal energy, reverting in negative lightning to their animal hosts and bursting with bright wings again in order to speak. The crocodile opened its enormous jaws, then lifted green wings as it stretched skyward. What are they doing here? What are they? Pewter wings faded like smoke, and a rat's tail swished back and forth over the sand. There was a sulphurous smell as the Nephilim flickered in and out, charging the air. Not true giants. Red wings and hair flamed in the hot wind, and then a mosquito whined shrilly. Not one of us. Purple wings misted, and the dragon/lizard stretched its useless wings. Though they speak the ancient tongue, they burn in the sun, they can't change form. Young, infants, almost men though, they don't belong here. What to do with them? Bronze wings dissolved and shrank with a tearing sound as the cockroach lifted its armored wings. Do we let them live? Great garnet wings dimmed the clouds, dropped with a sharp crack, and the red ant's small body cast a dark shadow in the starlight. Flicker, flame, shadow, in and out in prideful bursts of energy. Moaned the Nephil towards the cobra. Maybe we promised them that they will live. The vulture appeared briefly and clicked its beak. Then dark wings shadowed the stars. Power! Put them in our power! Yellow wings puffed into sulfur, and the flea leapt from the dragon/lizard to the vulture, then raised wings high. Power! That's right. Temptation, the dragon/lizard Nephil suggested. Temptation, good. And the mosquito droned. Lust, suggested the cobra, and the Nephil's face was whiter than the sand. Lust, agreed the vulture. Lust. We'll sleep tomorrow in the heat of the day. The reunited Sandy and Dennys sat outside Grandfather Lamec's tent as the stars wheeled across the sky. The old man had gone in after having sat outside with them to eat a fresh mess of pottage and to prepare bowls of fig juice. Higan was curled in the star-shade of the tree, his flanks heaving in and out as he slept, occasionally twitching in dreams. Noah and Matron have a mouse called Sela, Dennis said. Usually she sleeps by yellow sleeping skins, but sometimes she came into my tent and slept with me. It was weird being without you. Dennis wriggled his bare toes in the sand. Yeah, Sammy agreed. It was weird for me, too. Higgy and Grandfather Lamech have been very good to me. He wanted to ask about Yaleth, but something stayed his tongue. He said instead, I love Grandfather Lamech. You will too. He seems okay, Dennys agreed. I'm glad Japheth was the first person we saw. Otherwise, I suspect everybody of being like those awful people who threw me out of their tent into the town dump. It sounds rough. Well, everybody in Noah's tent hole was wonderful to me. Dennys, Sandy was suddenly somber. Do you remember the story? The story of Noah and the ark? Dennys shifted uncomfortably. The story we got blown into. At first I thought we were in some way out solar system. It might be easier if we were, Sandy said. Grandfather Lamech sent me into town today to trade fruit for lentils. I passed a lot of people. They're all going to be drowned. Dennys looked at the glow of the volcano on the horizon. I know. Everybody except Noah and Matred, Shem and Elisheba, Ham and Anah, Japheth and Aholabama. Now Sandy's voice cracked. What about Yaleth? Dennys managed to keep his voice from soaring. I don't know, but I don't think Aholabama, Elisheba, or Anah are called by name in the story. Matred isn't either. His voice jumped an octave. Nor Yaleth, at least as far as I can remember. I wish we had a Bible. It was a very patriarchal society, Sandy said. I do remember that. Meg would call it chauvinistic, Dennys said. Whoever wrote the Bible was a man. Men. I thought it was supposed to be God. Wasn't that what we were taught in Sunday school? When we were little, maybe. The thing is, the Bible was sent down by lots of people over lots of years. Centuries. It's supposed to be the word of God, not written by God. Okay, Sandy said, but nobody ever mentioned that there were twins named Sandy and Dennys Murry with Noah and his family. Do you have any idea, Dennys ventured, when the rains are supposed to start? Sandy shook his head. No, I don't. And I don't know how we're going to get out of here and go home. Do you? I thought you might have thought of something to do, Dennys said. I don't have a clue. You pay more attention than I do when everybody goes on at the dinner table about tessering and red shifts and mitochondria and farondolae and stuff. Mitochondria. Dennys looked at his twin. Do you remember when something was wrong with Charles Wallace's mitochondria and we thought he was going to die? We went out to the vegetable garden, Sandy said, because we had to do something. Even though we knew it didn't have anything to do with helping Charles Wallace get well, but it was something to do. They were silent for a dark space. Then Sandy said, well, we could do it again, work in the garden. Grandfather Lamech has this huge vegetable garden. I mean, you've never seen such gigantic plants. And weeds. I pulled up a mountain of weeds, wait and see, and I've hardly made a dent. And then there are his groves to prune and water, but there's plenty to do, whatever helps anything or not. Under them, the ground trembled slightly, but by now they were both so used to the shifting and sliding of the young planet that they hardly noticed. Well, that's good. The garden, I mean, as long as we don't get sunstroke again. Oh, we work only in the early morning and the evening. Grandfather Lamech is very careful about that. Good then. Yes, but none of that gets us home. What do we do now? Sandy was asking himself rather than his twin. I think, Dennys spoke slowly, that we don't do anything. I mean, this is way outside our experience. Outside anybody's experience, Sandy added. I think you're right. We wait, with our eyes and ears open. He looked over to where Higayon was sleeping. The scare was not in its usual place on Higayon's ear. Therefore, he thought, Admiral might be somewhere else. Doing what? We wait, Admiral said. To do anything is to make changes to cause a paradox. Does not their very being here in itself constitute a paradox? Alarid, who was sometimes a pelican, asked. Admiral, who had carried Dennys across the desert, said, "They have already made changes. The boy, Dennys, caused Noah to reconcile with his father when it seemed that nothing would ever make that come about." NHL, his wings extending at the height of his giraffe host, said, "Perhaps the boy Sandy played a part." Albiel, with wings as white as those of a snow goose, asked, "Could they have been sent for this?" Ariel, tawny as a lion, said softly, "We do not know. Perhaps they are part of the pattern." Abdiel, sometimes a golden bat, spoke equally softly. "There are many things that even the angels in heaven do not know, and we have been chosen. Abasdarhan, who was host of the Golden Snake, corrected, "Accepted being chosen." Agatril, whose eyes were as round and wise and fierce as an owl's, corrected further, "To stay with the children of humankind." Abdiel continued, "Therefore, we have relinquished some of our powers, and there is much that we do not know." Abu Zohar, who was sometimes a white leopard, inclined his head, his face luminous as the moon. "As long as the one knows, there is no need for us to know." Aksa, with wings and hair, the soft gray velvet of his mouse host, nodded. "They are innocent boys, but the children of men, likable, and they speak the old language." Adabiel, orange wings vivid as the tiger, agreed. Good in their hearts, and they brought out Noah's goodness. Could that be part of the plan?" Admiral said, "We still have no real idea why they are here or how they are to be returned to wherever it is they come from." Chiel, sometimes a giraffe, looked up at the stars. "We willingly gave up some of our powers when we chose to stay on this planet. We do not have to stay." Abdiel's seraphim wings were as bright a gold as his bat ones. "We are free to leave at any time and to resume our full powers." Admiral threw off light like the sun flashing against the scarab beetle. "It was our free choice, and now I will not leave while the twins, are still here." "We may not be able to save them," Alarid warned. "Then I will stay with them," Admiral said, for a fraction of a second looking more like a white camel than like a seraphim. 11 luminous heads slowly nodded in agreement with Admiral.